Hey,
Hey,
happy
good morning.
Monday.
It is
Good
Monday.
morning. And
Good morning.
it's
Iron
absolutely
Minds,
Monday.
episode 57, I believe.
Yeah, crazy.
Big
Oh, but
difference out the gate. The sun's up when we're on here.
so yeah, we got that 11 a.m. change now. We're getting to those later mornings. Hopefully that'll help a lot with people tuning into the show. If wherever you're tuning into, if you want to drop it into the comment section, welcome. So how
Absolutely.
are you
Changed it to
doing?
11 a.m. I'm doing wonderful. I have a lot more energy, a lot more willingness to have open conversation now. For whatever reason, as I've gotten older, when we started this, it was at 6 a.m. and I was all gung ho on, let's beat, the sun up and let's get everyone up and going on a Monday morning. And honestly, me and Trey just had to be honest with ourselves. It's like, hey, neither one of us want to be up at 6 a.m. And I think some people didn't want to be either. And I think this is just a better time. So glad to be tuning in and getting this going at 11 a.m. with you.
Absolutely, yeah. I recall Trey saying people who wake up at 5 a.m. are crazy to go to the gym, but
Yeah.
yeah, there he was every morning
Yep.
prepping at like 5:40 and 6 a.m. getting ready to do
Yep.
Iron Man.
Yeah, but it turns out, we started out, we actually were getting some workouts in and stuff, and then as this slowly progressed, and me getting older, I guess, and I feel like I aged 4 years in such a short span of when we actually started this, but like I just can't fire on any cylinders in the morning anymore. So it turned out to really Trey working out and killing it, and me just kind of standing there like I'm supposed to be working out and really just talking. Um, which you can see right now, I am not working out for anybody tuning in. I'm going to do the hardest part about the physical fitness journey is sometimes, and that's taking rest. I'm injured right now. I've got a completely strained upper back um, from a new hobby that me and Trey are going to be diving into. I'm proud to announce that I've picking up the game of golf. Um, I think it's long overdue. It's a game that you can play for your entire life, and I've denied it and rejected it for too long. I used to make fun of it, just like yoga. I hate on it just because I know it's hard and it would kick my butt. So I always have to talk a little smack about it, just out of a defense mechanism. But no,
No,
we're full-fledged diving into it now, and I've gotten injured due to it becoming an obsession. So
it's not easy. It's not easy. I actually too was a person. Well, maybe I still am, but I've been getting a lot of people telling me I gotta get into golf.
yep,
Especially this last big broker carrier summit, everyone was talking about golf. I'm pretty sure
yeah,
Trey's golfing right now with one of our
yep,
clients.
yep.
I mean, what is it? What is it that gets you hooked? What is it about golf that is fun? I guess.
So the initial, actually, it's funny when I think about it too, because I played baseball for 19 years of my life. I played on a full ride all through college, and like I don't watch baseball. Um, I always thought it was kind of a weird thing, 'cause even while I was in it in college, I never sat like I don't sit and watch baseball when I'm not on the field. It was just something I enjoyed doing. And when hindsight looking back, I realized that what I loved so much about it was this simplistic nature of just throwing a ball hard for
Yeah,
whatever reason, just letting a ball fly. Just the hearing it release, the whiff through the air, popping the mitt, whatever that
yeah,
was. That was my love for the game, and I didn't realize that until after the fact. And golf has a similar, the initial appeal was, me going to Top Golf with friends or a driving range or just trying to park a ball on the moon, right? There's no finesse to it. I'm not trying to put it anywhere in particular. I'm just trying to hit it as hard and as far as I can, and just watching it sail out of sight was like it had this, like, I don't know, appeal or whatever. Well, got pretty good at that aspect of it as far as just hitting the ball hard and far,
uh-huh.
nothing else. So, got to the point for whatever reason. I was at a driving range a couple weeks ago, and I rent clubs because I didn't have any. I never use anything but a driver. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to figure this out. If something clicked, I don't know what it was. I like picked up a wedge or something, like actually aimed for a flag, like 120 yards out or so, and connected and put it right there. And I was like, there's this weird thing because golf is so difficult. It's inherently very, very difficult to be consistently good
Right.
once you learn the basics. But like you could have it's one of those things where you could play horrible all day.
Mhm.
You can go and I've only played maybe 5 rounds of golf in my entire life, 6 if you count this past Thursday. You could just suck and be terrible the entire time, losing balls left and right, but then you make one good shot and it's like the highest high, and you're just on cloud nine, and it's like, oh, I've got this figured out now. It's just like it's such a sense of self gratification and just like
Right.
joy, that it makes you it will keep you coming back. And I'm very competitive. And
Oh
as
yeah.
I've gotten older, I can't throw a ball anymore. My shoulder doesn't work that way anymore. I can only lift so many weights. I want to kickbox, but the amount of time it takes to commit to it to actually go train, having the
Mhm.
kids and just working and everything else, it's tough to find time to really do those things. And I'm also scared to go take head trauma at 33, because I'm not one of those people that can do, like, I'm not very good at the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, kind of ease into it, test the waters. Like my
Yeah.
ADD doesn't allow that. Like when I'm not interested in something, I'm very uninterested in it. But when I find something that checks those boxes, I become like hyper obsessed or focused.
Right.
Um, go buy all the best gear, your whole
The whole
personality
nine yards,
adopts to it. Like I,
basically.
I was joking with my mom. I was like, you're gonna see me just in, flavorful polos, golf hat. That's just gonna become who I am. My whole personality is gonna adopt to it. But
It's your
that
personality for the month.
yeah, there's a lot of reasons to get into golf. All my friends play it. I'm the last one that really doesn't. It's such a driver in the corporate world, right? Like it's such a thing
Hmm.
in the corporate world, logistics. We host so many golf tournaments at my company. We participate in so many with all the conferences we go to. I'm our director of sales, and I'm always saying, no, like I'm not gonna play. And it's like that doesn't make sense. Like it's one of those things I feel like I need to learn, but now it's to the point where I want to learn it, because it is very challenging. I'm a very competitive person, and I don't know. It's inherently attractive now at this point in my life for whatever
Yeah.
reason. So now we're into it. So
That is
long story
so
long.
interesting. The tidbit you mentioned about just something about throwing a baseball or just same
Hmm.
thing in golf that just kind of reminds me of like runner's high.
Yeah,
Running, a lot of people hate it, but I wouldn't say I'm good at running, but when I initially start on that initial jog and just kind of go for it, you get this
yeah,
runner's high where you just get this joy and excitement where you just want to keep pushing. And I'm also competitive. I wouldn't
yeah,
say competitive with other people, but more so competitive with myself. Like once I figure
exactly.
out that, oh wow, like it's like speaking with broker carrier summit, I was so shy going in at first. I was very nervous. It was my
Yeah,
very first trade show event that I had ever attended. I didn't know anything. I still kind of don't really know too much about the industry. It's very new for me. And just getting to know people in general, work from home has been day out from college, my first job, and even this
yeah,
one. So not having to go through that interaction, but also still kind of being a people person, it was nerve wracking. And then as the days kind of progressed, I got a little bit less shy. I realized that it was also other people's first trade show event, and they were just coming,
yeah,
trying to put themselves out there, network. And I realized like it's nice to have that person go up, say good morning, how are you, ask you about your experience, and that's kind of what I leaned on. But each and
yeah,
every day, it was almost like I could see myself from my like outside perspective, and like I know I could be that person that just goes around and is very energetic and sparks conversation. But I was so shy and I was so upset that I just wanted to keep working on it. And now even more, I feel like I have this drive and this energy to keep working on it, even though I'm not like the greatest at it, where I just want to keep going to even more events, keep talking to even more people, and just kind of see, what are the do's and don'ts, what works and what doesn't work, and kind of
yeah.
a trial and error type of thing.
Absolutely. And I can relate to that too. And I think it really boils down to the simple concept of, if you've ever been someone with limiting beliefs, or someone that that I guess it's a human nature, so everyone can relate to this to some degree, but like especially if you're in sports or any kind of
Mm.
competitive environment growing up or whatever the case might be, we create these false narratives in our head and these self-limiting beliefs, and it feels almost like intoxicating. And it's
Yep.
very it gives you a high when you finally realize, and you can have at least the awareness to be like, okay, this is a limit I put on myself. Like, why is this story in my head?
Yeah.
This is not real. And then once you finally start
Yes.
breaking those glass ceilings or those limitations you put on yourself, and you level up, and whatever, it could be anything. There's like this
Yeah.
sense of like there are no limits. Like I can do anything. Like as cliche as that sign is, you can do anything you set your mind to. It really comes back to being an affirmation of that, to where it's not just now a watered down, overused statement that you hear growing up. It's like maybe I
Yeah.
actually can, you know.
That is absolute 100%. And that when I was looking back on it after I got home after the event, I was kind of so You've never met me. I am a very short 5'2" person, and
Okay.
people at these trade shows were like 5'10", 6 foot. So I have this narrative. I had this narrative in my head, and I actually had to like have that pep talk with myself where I'm like, you're not just they're not going to see you if you portray yourself as a short little 5'2" woman that and you think that they're going to be like, whose child is this
Yeah.
at this
It's
trade
so
show?
funny you say that.
So it's
It's
like
so funny you say that.
that's how they're gonna perceive you. So like you just kind of have to take on this other persona and be like, it's not real. If it's real when you make it real. If you put thought to it, that's how you're gonna come off.
I have such a good book I want to recommend to you that has helped me in that very aspect, almost that same principle. So there's a
Um,
book called The Alter Ego Effect by Todd Herman, and he's a performance coach,
ooh,
a mental performance coach for the kind of the most elite people in their field. Whether it's an athlete, you're a performer, you're a CEO, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, he helps people um, create the best version of themselves using alter egos, right? Because we're all born with
yeah,
these. I won't go too deep into this, but just to give you a premise, we're all born with inherent traits based on how we're growing up. So an example is Beyonce, right? So she was
mm,
this incredible singer, this beautiful woman. People used to drive from other states to hear her perform. They're like, you got to hear this girl in this choir at this church. She's incredible. You know,
right,
turns out she gets a little attention. Then, to go on to, long story short, to go on to become Beyonce, not to say she is promiscuous, but to kind of be that person on stage, to be a little bit more edgy and, sex appeal, if you will, like to be a performer, right?
yeah,
In today's country, her inherent traits of her upbringing of being a very conservative family, very church, would not allow her to really to be the person she needed to be on that stage to
right,
become who she needed. So she had to create this alter ego called Sasha Fierce. And if you've ever looked into her, so many athletes and top performers all have these alter egos, and it's just
yeah,
essentially using this God-given imagination we already have
yeah,
to go out and create a different version of ourselves that allows us to show up as our best for whatever that field of play is, right?
yep,
Um, and that's one thing I read and I learned when I got into logistics that really helped me perform. Jumping into a world-class sales organization at Worldwide Express, my biggest, you know, toxic trait, if you want to call it, was being a yes man. I was worried about
yep,
being liked over being an effective professional. It was very hard to get over that just because, for whatever reason, I had to create a different version of myself. And I remember when I finally did and kind of put those pieces together, I went on a tear and made President's Club first and just kind of did, won all these, awards and national competitions. And like, it became, long story short, it's funny you said that though, because it's very true. It's these stories we tell
yeah,
ourselves and how we show up. I've said the same thing about me. I always say, thank God I'm tall and have a little bit of size, or else someone would be like, whose little brother is this? Because like I can't grow facial hair. Like I can't grow a beard, and I want to. All these dudes with awesome gnarly beards or cool hair, and
yeah,
I ain't got it. So it's like I'll be a baby face forever. But like at least if I was 5'5" or something like that and had no great facial hair or anything else, man, it would be an uphill battle for everything. So it's like I
yeah,
jokingly, but no, it's funny you say that. But yeah, the stories we tell ourselves, it's amazing, what we can actually become, when
yeah.
we have conviction and kind of that belief.
Yeah, and when you change that mindset, it's I am a believer, like you're gonna give off exactly what you perceive yourself. So same thing with,
Yep.
if you go into something negatively or have a negative thought about it or a bad perception about it, you're gonna come off as negative. Say you're
Yep.
meeting a new person for the first time, but you've heard negative things about them. You're gonna come in with a negative bias instead of giving it, an honest chance from the start and being able to see it for what it is. So having that persona, I remember same thing, like being at the event, and I would think about it because I know of like hearing stories, people my age, they're talking at important politician stands or like
Yep.
they're already having success in their career. So every time I kept thinking of, oh my gosh, I'm this short little girl, like I don't have any ambition. I was like, no, you can't say that. Like there are plenty of people your age. If they can do it, so can you. Like I'm sure they didn't come into the room thinking I'm just like a small person. I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm doing. They had to just kind of be like, okay, I'm here. It's not going to help me to think this way. Like, I just have to get into the zone and try it because you're never going to know unless you actually put the effort
Right.
in trying to go out there. And you're not going to know if you can do it unless you try to go out there and put yourself out there and learn.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that too, because when I started really getting into introspection and just like self growth, what was personal, or whatever the case would be, you start reading a lot of books of like entrepreneurs or very successful people to kind of hear their story. And like I've boiled down like most of the people in power that are elite, that are the top in their field, like, all right, naturally there's some people that have more natural raw talent in certain areas
Mhm.
of life than others, but the vast majority, I mean the vast majority, like 95%, it seems like the people that have ever reached the pinnacle of success and however you characterize that and people that you would
Right.
study, it's like the one thing they all share is a complete conviction and self-belief. It's like, I'm not taking no for an answer. I don't care if I fail. I don't care how what it takes. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, not take no for an answer. I will walk through hell and back. It's just
Right.
it's almost like it's just I refuse to give up. I completely and wholeheartedly believe in myself. I'm not scared to look foolish, dumb, fail. I don't care. I'm going to get what I want kind of
Yeah.
mentality. And it really does, I feel like, come down to that in most things in life, because how often does like our ego get crushed because we didn't do well at something that we thought we were good at, and
Yes.
we take such a hard loss that we wear it so hard that it's like, I'm not willing to face that loss again because it hurt my ego or my pride too much. It's like, so I'll walk away. Oh, I'm no good at this. I can't be good at it. You
Right.
know,
And
it's
I
like,
think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt
you're
you.
good.
No, I think also something I've noticed in very successful people, especially, when I think it's a misconception or a common misconception that these people who have been successful and like are at the place where they want to be and are growing, for people who aren't doing that and want to get there, as if those people knew it from the start. They didn't know it from the start.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were doing from the start. Or maybe they did. Maybe they did come from a family with a long history and they had the help. But a lot of people, they had to do trial and error, figure it out for themselves. It takes people years to create that career. And I guess like
Yeah.
using singers as that example, um, they're out there creating a name for themselves. They weren't doing shows off the bat. It wasn't, oh, I discovered this artist and then just kind of became well known overnight. You work for that and it's consistent and you have to keep believing. And I think also a trait where I've seen successful people that I'm willing to listen to is when they can admit that they don't know everything and that they didn't know everything, that
Yeah.
they're not probably never going to know everything that there is to know about an industry, especially a constantly growing one where things are changing all the time. And I think I really respect that in leaders and people who have had success in their roles in their industries
Yeah.
as well. And that's something I've noticed too, where you have that ego and you got to realize that you don't know everything. And I think there's more of an accelerated growth when you admit that you don't know everything and that there are things you don't know. But when you know, and this is going to be a really confusing line, but when you know what you don't know,
Right.
and that really sets the stage for you to go out there and look for it. You know what you're looking for, and you're
Yeah.
almost hunting for it. You have a hunger to learn those things, and I think that's incredible. Almost like that passion.
Anybody that like adopts, shout out to Trey Griggs making it on for a quick commentary in his travels. I think anyone that truly adopts the mindset of, I'm a student of the game and whatever
Yeah.
it is, there's something also gravitating about that. Um, it feels like, when you witness things like that, or you see people like that who really live that lifestyle or who are really about that, there's
Mhm.
something very captivating about that, because it almost like in a way gives you permission to be like, well, I can do that too, kind of thing.
Right.
It's like, and that's kind of, it circles back to like iron sharpens iron, right? It's just like someone out there is proof or is an affirmation that you can go do whatever you want to do. Like it's, even though your dream might be crazy, it might be unrealistic, it's like, okay, but like that's what requires change. I forgot what the line
Yeah.
was. It was like the man, what was it? It was like, basically it's like the normal man accepts the world for what it is and tries to bend to the world's way, but the basically the person that makes change forces the world to adapt to his way, right? Like
Yeah.
it's and I forgot what the actual line is, but that's the premise of it. It's like the reasonable man sees the world for what it is essentially and adapts to it. The unreasonable person forces the world to adapt to him or her.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like so I feel like it's kind of one of those things, but
Absolutely. Something that somebody said, and I feel like I do this a lot, maybe it doesn't make any sense, but if somebody says one thing about one thing, I kind of translate it into a completely different topic. But back to the point, at the Broke Your Career Summit, when we were during the breakout sessions, I had to be in
uh-huh.
the room just kind of get content. And one person was talking about the sales aspect to the business and trying to
Hmm.
grow and, keeping up with those calls. And that person that gives you the yes does not know how many no's that you received before that call or before that
Correct.
opportunity. And they kind of came from a positive limelight of that, where, we got 50 no's that were all the more closer to a yes, and
Yep.
just keeps the push going like that. And that kind of brought me to this mindset of, ideas. How many bad ideas are you going to have in trying to make that dream come true? How many failures are you going to go through? But just kind of looking at those as kind of like a little checklist. Okay, we tried that, it's not working, but we're all the more closer to figuring out how this is going to work, how you're going to
Yeah.
make your dream come true, how you're going to, have the operations improve in your company, how you're going to have a better design process. And I think it just translates to so many other things that when you have that mindset and just kind of thinking a little bit more positively about your failures and realizing that you're all the more closer to something good and something big, it really changes. Um, I don't know. I guess like the energy and the amount of grind that you have behind something, it can really give you strength, which is really weird.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to people find something that allows you to enjoy the process, not the end result. Because I
Right.
mean, I don't know if there ever really is an end result. Your goals just change or get bigger. Um, but yeah, you find something that you enjoy the process of it, and that's what
Right.
allowed. And I think that's what the actual joy is.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Oh, I got a neighbor. What's up, John? My shirt? Oh, it's Iron Minds, dude. You can get this swag at ironminds.io. That's ironminds.io. Yeah, brother. I'll take care. Get after it.
Heck
Sorry,
yes.
that was my John. That was John, one of my neighbors running by. I'm out here in my garage just getting some sunlight. Yeah, someone's asking about the swag. I think he said something like, "Dude, that's the dopest tank top I've ever seen. Where'd you get it?"
Absolutely.
So that yeah, I had to plug that ironminds.io for all of your Iron Minds swag gear and apparel. Check it out.
Heck yes. And also, if you're ever on social media, don't forget to follow us.
Absolutely. We do a dedicated social media pages for Iron Minds. Iron sharpens iron. Proverbs 27:17.
Beautiful. And then I guess kind of switching over different topics here soon. You did mention that you were going through an injury. It I guess speaking on mindset, what have you been doing to kind of stay calm in that aspect? Because you said you like to move
Ah,
around.
yesterday was kind of my first real day of being resting. Took the kids to my mom's house. She lives out on about 2.5 acres. She got a lot of open space with beautiful. Um, guys like John don't use words like dope. Yes, they do. Trey, don't try to put John in a box. You don't know John. John Tip. Um, but we were out there throwing the balls, letting them hit, balls and run around. My kids love to play baseball when we throw it to them and stuff. And I took some golf balls and my chipping wedge out there, and I was gonna, just mess around. And I got about 4 or 5 swings in. I'm like, this is not helping my back get better right now because I just keep refusing to take a day off. So the mindset has been, hey, you're gonna shut up. You're gonna swallow this pill. You're gonna rest. Because like if I'm not running, lifting weights, swinging a golf club, like being active to some degree, I almost feel like I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
It makes me feel lazy. It makes me feel like I'm gonna lose everything I've worked for, which is absurd.
Yeah.
It's a week. But like I can't run right now. Any kind of bounce other than a slow walk, I can feel it in my upper back and it hurts like crap. So I'm doing nothing physical. I might go for a walk here in a little bit, get some sun because that's low impact. And if I can't walk, then I'm in big trouble. But we'll just do an extended walk right now, rest, try to eat somewhat healthy. That's been a problem lately. Um, Seemingly elusive concept. And yeah, we're just gonna not use my body in any aggressive or intense manner for a while. We're gonna take it easy for at least a full week.
All right. So I guess that kind of leads me to my next question that I had. So something you hear a lot, especially people who are into fitness, have been in it for a long time, is consistency. But
Mm-hmm.
then, you have that injury, and you got to take it easy sometimes. You have to give yourself a break, and there's other things to do. So would you say that there's other key factors to having a successful fitness journey aside from consistency?
I would say maturing, and I had a buddy who named Fernando. Shout out to Fernando if he ever sees this. He's a professional boxer.
Awesome.
Was talking to him about this, and he says, "Hey, my coach always says rest is part of training. Like recovery is
Yeah.
part of training. It's when you're constantly going 90 miles an hour, especially getting older, you're not stretching as much, and or you're trying something new and you're going out way too hard at it with no proper form or technique or anything, and you get injured.
Right.
Like it is what it is. So it's, I'd say just having the, this is a long game. This is a ultra marathon. This is not a sprint as much as I feel like I want it to be, just because that's my personality.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what's up, Trey. The sunglasses, the fade. Yeah, we're doing okay over here. Um, you cannot get these in the Iron Man swag store, but I can point you in the right direction. I think just maturing and realizing that, like, fitness or physique or whatever you're trying to achieve, it's a marathon. So like there's going to be setbacks in anything in life. Injury is part of it. I'm not a machine.
Mhm.
And I think you just accept it for what it is. Realize that, okay, it's a half step backwards, but so that you can keep going forward, kind of thing.
That's awesome. And then was there any kind of, I don't know, life event, or was it just kind of at random that got you into fitness and kind of brought you on the journey where you are today?
Yeah, actually, I know exactly what it was. So, growing up playing baseball, you stay in shape relatively year round because you're always playing, especially in Texas.
Mhm.
When I got out of college, I didn't have baseball anymore, right? So like so much of your identity is wrapped up in that when you've been doing it your entire life. I'm a
Right.
baseball player. That's what I do. That's who I am. Graduate college and you don't go on past that. I don't have that anymore. Um, I don't know who I am. I know I'm going to work in the, start working and yada yada yada. I'm still trying to figure out who I am at this point. And I stopped working out completely just because I didn't feel like I had a reason to, or maybe I was burnt out, or whatever the case might be. Life happened, and I got really overweight. And I got to the point where I had experienced real depression for the first time in my life. Like
Wow.
where I couldn't look at a mirror if I walked past one. Like I would intentionally and consciously avoid looking at myself in the mirror because I couldn't
Right.
stand like what I had become essentially, or who I'd become. And one day I was trying to get my, was selling cars at this point. I was trying that whole thing out. When you're at a dealership 12, 13, 14 hours a day, getting food catered to you 3 or 4 times a week, and you eat when you're bored like I do, and you can eat a lot, you gain weight quick.
Yeah.
And I was trying to take my boots off one day, and I was like out of breath, and like my belt buckle was pushing into my stomach, and it hurt, and like I'm like out of breath trying to get a single piece of footwear off. And I
Right.
just I just remember like the point of frustration and anger and pain at that moment superseded whatever pain and challenge it was, and I kind of just turned into a crazy person and went kind of to the wall full send on getting back in shape. And I think I lost 39. I got up to almost 260 pounds. I went and lost almost 40 pounds in just under 4 weeks.
That's
Um,
crazy.
and then ever since then, and kind of getting back into shape, I just, the initial reason was like, I never want to feel that helpless or that out of shape or lazy or just like incapable again.
Right.
And then, start having kids, and it's like your why changes. And I want to live a very healthy first half of my life so that hopefully, God willing, I make it to the second half and I'm still in great shape and we can do a lot of fun things together. I don't want to be the dad that's tired when he's playing with his kids, or your
Right.
kids want to play with you and you're like, nah, dad's too tired. I can't. Um, and then also I just want them to grow up seeing a healthy lifestyle. I don't want it to be this weird thing till they're like, oh, I want to try fitness out or something like that at one point. I
Right.
want them to just, it's part of life. There is no other option. It's like, no, that's a standard. That's just a part of everyday life, is living a physically fit life and understanding why that's important. That's kind of, I think, what my driving factor is now. And just got to
Yeah.
figure out like what I'm capable of at this point, because I've never really pushed it as a, younger. I got
Yeah.
I got by and did what I had to do, because all I had to do was throw a baseball. I didn't ever have to worry about getting really stronger or faster, or whatever the case is. So it's like now I've got multiple reasons now, but that was kind of the driving force initially, was like getting way out of shape and then realizing like I don't ever want to feel this way again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's incredible, honestly. And I feel like that's kind of like the healthiest standpoint to come from it. I used to have this negative mindset, people kind of just go to the gym to get big and get muscle. And I got into the gym a little bit with my dad and I call him my Uncle Rob. We're not related. I've just known him like all my life.
Yeah.
And my Uncle Rob actually used to be a bodybuilder. But I've always been just kind of like skinny, like not really into fitness or anything. And they got me into it at like 16, I think. And I stopped also. It was really hard to keep going to the gym when I got to college just because it was always crowded, and I had always been a little bit insecure about how small I was and how hard it was to build muscle. I was always that my family called me like a little birdie because of my eating habits, and it was just a whole lot to deal with and
Yeah.
get pushed past to same thing where you have to have that alter ego for yourself. Like nobody's watching, like everybody started from somewhere. You don't know if people are hoping to have started out from the point that you're at. So just to not think about anyone else's mindset. And for a while, I kind of got out of the gym, and now, and especially health and fitness, and I was just kind of letting my body and my appetite do whatever it wanted to do. But
Yeah.
even though there was no, physical or tangible changes that you could see, I could feel it where my
Yeah.
energy was down, and just like certain things were getting me tired, or I was feeling out of just not myself. And now I've kind of switched gears and focused over to, my diet, the movement. There's been some health issues within my family that's kind of gotten me in the same aspect. It's like I don't want to be that person when I'm older. I want to be able to take care of myself, and you don't have to go and get big or get a bunch of muscles or anything, but it's all about that movement and taking care of your body, and move it or lose it. And
Yeah.
also about what you're feeding your body and what you're fueling your body with, and how that can actually change your gut health, your overall physical health, and also just like mental health. So that's something I've definitely been focusing on too, and I hope to be a little bit more consistent, get a little gym membership instead of just working out from home and going on those runs and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
No, likewise. That's awesome. Yeah, it's also interesting too when you're in what, quote unquote shape, or at least kind of at your own best. It's amazing how like life seems to work differently. Like people treat you differently. It's a very
Mhm.
strange thing, and it's I don't feel like we should treat people differently based on that, but it is human nature, and that's just it is what it
Yeah,
is. That's how it is. For whatever reason, people will treat you differently for the
yeah,
better.
sad.
Um, and maybe it's just because you carry yourself differently. Maybe because the self image you have in your head when you're in shape or you're at your best, you move and speak differently, and you're at your best. So maybe because you feel good about yourself, you behave differently, and because of that, people treat you differently. I don't know. I just know that like life is better when you take care of
Right.
yourself across the board. It in all aspects of it, it seems like just life is better.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we are running out of time here. I would say key points that we've taken away from this is, you're gonna make your life as good as you can kind of have it in your mindset, and seeing yourself in that positive light, being kind to yourself. That's what needs to be focused on so much more. Taking care of yourself, being positive and being kind to yourself as well, and that translates
Absolutely.
into being kind and positive to other people.
Yeah, 100%. Anybody watching that wants to make a change, if you don't know where to start, I'd be more than happy to help you. I had to start somewhere at one point. It was not easy, but I can tell you, if you are willing to get through the first 2 weeks of things sucking, you can make a lot of change for your life very quickly. Like it really doesn't take long. Like you can be that
Right.
person that you see and you're like, I want to have that physique, or I want to have it's you are no different than everybody else. Like you absolutely can. It's a simple choice. It really is. And I'd
Incredible.
be more than happy to help anybody out with that. That's kind of why I started this. Is like I want people to kind of find be reach the best version of themselves. That's the journey I'm on, and it's great. And this is a community effort, and that's what we're going for. So
Absolutely, definitely. Join the community. That's what Iron Minds is all about. But I'm gonna go ahead. We're almost 5 minutes over time. So thank you so much for
it never
carrying
feels
this
like enough
out.
time.
It never feels like enough time. This is an incredible conversation. I hope everyone gets to tune in later if they didn't get to tune in now. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of sign us out then. Thank you
Well,
everybody
sure
for watching.
appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you
Have a
for
great Monday.
joining. Bye.